everyone and welcome back to my channel. If you're new to my channel, my name is Sophie and I would love it if you click that big red subscribe button down below. I talk about language learning a lot, I make travel videos, I also talk about uni life, so if you're interested in any of those types of videos then definitely make sure to hit that big red subscribe button down below and turn on that notification bell as well so that you never miss a video. Now firstly, I just quickly want to say if I sound a bit snotty and a bit bunged up in this video, I do apologise. I'm recovering from a cold that left me not wanting to get out of bed for the past 3 days, and this is the first day that I can actually hold a conversation without coughing. So today's the day to film this video, clearly. But anyway, this video is going to be about having the right mindset for language learning and how to pick yourself up when you feel like you're failing at learning a language. Now this is something that I've been thinking about a lot recently, as I've definitely realised that I do struggle with imposter syndrome when it comes to language learning, and I do think this is also partly because I study languages as part of my degree, so obviously I am constantly getting assessed on my language abilities and getting grades back that sometimes I'm not always exactly too happy with, but hey, we move on. All we can do is look at the feedback and focus on how to improve and get a better grade in the future. So yeah, and feeling like I'm a failure and just feeling like you're a failure at language learning is not the right mindset to have when it comes to learning languages, because you're just going to want to give up. And to be honest, learning a language is not easy. There's going to be moments where you feel like you're failing, and I'm probably not the only one who has felt like this. So yeah, I've been thinking about how to have the right mindset recently, and here's some things that I thought of that I just thought I would share with you all. And if you have any more tips and advice at the end of the video that, you know, things that I didn't mention, feel free to share them down below in the comments section, because they might not only help myself out, but they can help out other people who are reading the comments. So yeah, that would be really nice if you could do that. So firstly, I want to talk about setting yourself small goals in that language to achieve, because fluency isn't going to come super quickly, and it's very easy when you start learning a language to get really fixated on this idea of becoming fluent. But that's bad for quite a few reasons. One, because, you know, it can take a while. Two, because it's kind of hard to even know when you've become fluent. Like, I feel like people define fluency in different ways, and I have made a whole video on this previously, which I will link here. But yeah, like I said, fluency takes time, so don't get disheartened if you're not, you know, you don't reach a point that you consider to be fluent within a month or so, or as I know there's lots of YouTube videos now where people say they reached fluency in a language within a month, but yeah, I personally haven't done that, and I would say don't get disheartened if you do not reach fluency within a language in a month. You will get there. It's all about baby steps, and yeah, don't get disheartened if, say, you don't pass your B2 exam in a language the first time. You will get there eventually. It's all about little baby steps, which are like these small goals, just little things that show yourself that you are achieving something in your language, and that can be the little piece of motivation you need to continue learning that language. So these can be things such as having a conversation in that language for 5 minutes, which may not sound like this big crazy goal, but when you first start learning a language, speaking to a native speaker or just anybody in that language is scary. So having a conversation with somebody in that language for 5 minutes, even if, you know, your grammar isn't perfect, it doesn't matter about being perfect, but having a conversation in that language for 5 minutes and being understood that's a pretty good achievement, especially when you're first starting to learn a language, and then that can progress to like 10 minutes and stuff, and then suddenly speaking to people might not be so scary. Or maybe what you struggle with is your listening skills within that language. Then maybe your goal could be something like listening to a song in that language and being able to understand the lyrics. Songs are only like, what, 3 minutes? So yeah, that sounds small, but that still could be a big achievement. And also, listening to music is a great way to improve your listening skills and learn a language and learn new vocab. And you know, that could progress to then watching a show on Netflix without subtitles and being able to follow along with the storyline and know what's going on. And no, I said know what's going on. You don't need to know every single word, understand every single word, and that's one thing to know. Never get disheartened if you can't understand every single word, because you can be learning a language for years and you're still going to come across new words in that language. I mean, native speakers of, you know, still come across new words in that language. I still come across new words in English quite often, actually. And it's quite often when I'm doing like a translation from French into English, and I stick a French word in a dictionary and realise we have a word that literally looks the same in English. And I'm like, oh, I did not know what that was, and then I feel really stupid. But these are like usually words that come from like Latin or whatever. But yeah, I'm a native speaker of English. English is my mother tongue, so that just shows you, you know, you're constantly going to see new words that you don't know, so don't get disheartened by that. It's all about the baby steps. Secondly, I want to talk about avoiding seeing mistakes as a sign of failure, but instead a sign of how you can improve. It is completely natural to make mistakes when learning another language. In fact, it's completely normal to make mistakes when learning anything and everything. I mean, if you already knew something, you were the best at it, then why would you bother learning it? Like, you know, you're gonna make mistakes, and that's normal. And even advanced language learners, for example, will make mistakes sometimes on grammatical points that you learn when you first start learning a language. Like, it's totally normal. And even native speakers slip up every once in a while and make a mistake. There's definitely been times where I'm watching my YouTube videos back and I notice a mistake in my English, and then someone will comment in the comment section of my YouTube video, oh, I love you watching your videos, I learn English from watching your videos or something. They help me with my English, and I'm like, you're looking for me for help with your English, and then imposter syndrome kicks in because I'm like, I definitely noticed an error in that video whilst editing, but it's totally normal and fine. So yeah, the next time you make a mistake in a language, one, if you notice that mistake, that is good. If you're noticing your own mistakes, that's good. That's a sign that you know that language pretty well, and that you're getting pretty good at that language. And if someone else notices your mistakes and points them out to you, pay attention to what they're saying rather than just get sad about the fact that you made a mistake, because the more and more people point out these mistakes to you, maybe you'll be able to notice something in common with those mistakes, and that could be a sign on what you need to work on to improve. For example, are these mistakes that they're correcting you on often related to prepositions, and which is the correct preposition to use? That's probably a sign that it's time to pick up a grammar book and turn to a section on prepositions, and yeah, look back over the rules on prepositions and do some exercises. Definitely don't just read the rules, do exercises. That really helps. But yeah, learn from your mistakes. Thirdly, review your language learning plan and the resources that you are using. Now, if you're really feeling like you're struggling to progress within your target language, it could just be that something is missing from your language learning plan. Maybe you're really not getting enough speaking practice. So dedicate some time to finding a tandem partner who you can practice with. There are lots of apps which allow you to do this if you do not have anybody to talk to. And also in some cities they hold local tandems, so you can definitely look into that, see if there's anything like that in the area where you live. But also it could be maybe not that you're not getting enough speaking practice, it could be that you're not dedicating enough time to grammar, for example, in which case dedicate some time in your plan to learning grammar. Find yourself a good grammar workbook that also has explanations as well as exercises and the answers in the back. But maybe it's not that at all, maybe it's just you're dedicating enough time to everything, but the resources that you're using just aren't right for you, they're just not helping you. In which case, find new ones. There are so many resources for learning languages these days, some paid for, some free. Do your research, find them. Like, as well as this, there's so many blogs and vlogs, YouTube videos in which people share resources that they found helpful for learning languages and what they found good about them or not so good about them, which can really help you to find resources that could be useful for you. So I did just mention reviewing your language learning study plan, but what if you don't have a study plan? Well, this next point is creating a language learning study plan. Maybe you are not a person who likes to plan things, so you think, oh, I do not need a language learning study plan. When I have time free to study, I will just open up a textbook or open up a grammar book and study. Done. But personally, I think having a plan could be really useful, just to make sure that you are going over everything that you need to go over and really dedicating time for everything and nothing gets forgotten, like the small things like going over vocabulary do not get forgotten. Personally, I feel like if I didn't set myself a to-do list every day where I ticked off the stuff I did, I would forget to do things like revising vocabulary because I have a busy life in university, for example. I will remember to do my language learning assignments and homework. I'll remember to do my translation from French into English, for example, but forget to go over French grammar or French vocabulary because that isn't a piece of homework that I have a deadline for, but it's still something that is important to me progressing within that language and something that I think I need to do. So yeah, definitely create some sort of plan for yourself. Don't get too disheartened if maybe you don't stick to it. You know, I can't think of the word I want to use, but you don't like exactly stick to it every day, because I mean, with any plan sometimes you won't stick to it exactly because life gets in the way, things come up. Every day is different. You do not know. You could say, I'm going to dedicate X amount of time to study today, and then all of a sudden you have to go to the doctors or something, and you know that's quite an important thing maybe that you have to do, so you have to do that instead. So yeah, don't get so like disheartened about that, but try and obviously stick to it, and it's just a good way to make sure that you are going over everything that you need to do and not just focusing on watching loads of stuff on Netflix in that language because you enjoy doing that and it's helpful. Yes, it is helpful, and it's good to do things that you enjoy because you're going to be more motivated to do them, but watching stuff on Netflix in that language is not enough alone. You need to obviously incorporate other methods of studying into your plan, and having a plan is just a good way of ensuring that you do that. And finally, the last point that I want to mention, which I think is a really important point, which definitely helps me a lot, is to think of how far that you have come already. Think of every little accomplishment that you have made and just keep track of these accomplishments. Like whenever you are feeling like you're failing at that language, or you know you're like this close to giving up language learning, remember that fluency is not going to come like that. So do not get so like fixated on that think of all the little accomplishments that you've made so far. Maybe you spoke to your language buddy for 10 minutes straight in that language. And maybe that's something that you've never done before and that you couldn't do previously. So that's good. You did that. Well done. Like, remember that, and that's a sign that you are progressing and you have progressed and that you will progress more in the future. And maybe in the future you'll be having like conversations with tons of people in that country, a country where they speak that language for like an hour straight or whatever. Like, who knows? Who knows like what you can achieve? But think of every little achievement that you have made and be proud of those achievements. And I'm going to sound like a primary school teacher here, but you know, give yourself a pat on the back every time you make a little achievement. It's not all just about being fluent. Things take time, and yeah, remember that. But yeah, that's it for this video. I hope you all enjoyed it. Please do give a big thumbs up if you did. It really helps me out. And click that big red subscribe button down below and turn on that notification bell as well. Like I said earlier on in the video, if you can think of anything that I've missed that helps you to stay motivated, please do share it in the comment section down below, because it can really help somebody out. That's what I want to do when I share these tips and advice for you, is help as many people out as I can. I'm not like an expert in language learning. I'm still figuring it out every day as I go along. I'm not trying to make myself out as some expert, but if I can help someone, I can help someone. And if you can help someone, like, is that not a good feeling? So yeah, share it in the comment section down below. It can really help someone out. And I'll see you all in the next video. Bye. I just need to tell you.